Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Becky Saif and this is your beginner DJ video. So if you are new to DJing, this is the industry standard equipment. One is covered up by a massive mouse mat, expensive high-end gear. I'm going to do a versus format kind of style of video. For example, with beat matching, you can do it manually or you can use sync. You can use CDJ mode or you can use vinyl mode. You can mix using the channel faders or you can mix using the crossfader. So I'm going to go into all of those and then we're going to touch on my absolute favorite topic, which is EQing. And the reason I love it is because I love the science of sound, and it's something that I think is important for you to learn, because yes, you can learn a technique from a video, but if you understand why you're doing what you're doing, then you can build on top of that and learn other things without needing somebody to show you what to do. Sound is energy and energy is science. And so if you understand how sound is interacting with other sound at different frequencies, it'll really help you not only understand the techniques that you're learning, but also when you reach that stage of mastery where you can build on top of what you already know, you don't need to go to somebody to ask them for clarity on whether you're doing it right or wrong, because you'll understand the fundamentals, and whatever you try for yourself in your own time, you'll have that confidence and assurance knowing that you're doing it correctly. If you're a major international artist, when you step up to the decks, this is the kind of stuff you're going to see. And obviously it's very, very expensive. All of this central part, and this is EQing, and there's a lot of stuff that you can learn just by learning this area. And you can see here on this high-end equipment, this picture looks exactly the same as the center panel in the FLX4. So you don't really need to be spending a lot of money in order to learn what to do on a mixer. Now, why would you get this as opposed to something super cheap and affordable? Well, if you have the budget and you want to take DJing seriously, I would recommend that you purchase the high-end equipment. If you're given an opportunity to perform on a huge stage and it's a make or break moment for you, you need to be ready. And if you're nervous, at least just be nervous about performing to the crowd or selecting your songs, and not how do you operate this piece of technology. Let's go into the first verses. So beat matching basics, sync versus manual. So manual in the modern era is not the same as manual using vinyl. Vinyl, you don't see the BPM or beats per minute value, which is the speed at which the track is playing out at. Here, you see the BPM value. It's 178. You use the tempo slider to change the speed of the track. So 178 is now the beats per minute, the speed at which this track is playing out. And you want to match your other tune to this value, 178. So using the tempo slider here, we get this to 178. And now these two tunes will play at the same speed. However, manual error. If you hit play on both of them, chances are you're going to hit them out of time. You wouldn't normally hit two together unless you were doing some crazy triple drop suddenly all at once at the same time. Even if one is playing out and you hit play on the other one, trying to get it on beat, you're probably going to get it out of time. And that's where you would use the jog wheel. And the jog wheel is fine tune adjusting, speeding up and slowing down your tune so that it matches the beats of the track that's playing out. And the idea is that you align the beats so that it sounds like one song. So the steps involve, you have your dominant tune playing out, you set your tempo using the tempo slider, which we've done already, and then you would cue to listen to your track in your headphones. You would hit play, jog adjust to fine tune, and then bring your tune up into the mix. That's manual beat matching. So sync would be doing all of that, but without actually doing it. And the thing with sync is that you need to make sure that you are perfectly grid aligning your tracks in your software. Now, I don't do this exactly precisely. I do it, but I don't do it so meticulously because I don't want to, one, be sat there in front of a computer doing that for days on end and end and end, but also I don't fully trust sync to beat match my tunes together. So there's a way that I do it, which I'll show you after this. With sync, you have one deck that is enabled master. It's orange. It means that whatever BPM this track is at, the others will slave to that BPM. So 178, this will shift if it's not. to 178 because this is the master deck. If you hit beat sync on all of the decks, they will all be a slave to the master. And the master, if they're linked, will swap over. If this is now the dominant tune, it will swap over. Eventually it will be master here, and this deck will slave to this one, and it will carry on and on and on. Typically, if you set it at one tempo, you're probably going to stay at that tempo throughout the whole mix. So now you have beat sync enabled. All you need to do is hit play, and even if you're off time, it will snap the grid to the beats of the track. So you don't have to jog adjust. You can just let it run and then just bring it into the picture. There's a lot of not a lot with beat sync. So it removes that fundamental skill of DJing, which was the fundamental skill back in the day. And that's why if you do shout about using sync, you are going to get a lot of vinyl heads, the ones that are still staying true to the original art form. They're probably going to get their keyboards out and start shouting at you going, learn to beat match, blah, blah, blah. But what beat sync does do, and why it's relevant to the modern era, is it allows you to mix faster. It allows you to access more decks more quickly, and it also allows you to perform to your audience. And if you're looking to play on huge stages and you've got effects and loops and decks and 3-minute songs mixing together and a microphone and you're saying hello to your audience, then maybe using beat sync is worthwhile so that the mix is seamless and you have no errors and you're doing all of the things that are now required for a DJ to do. Back in the day, the only thing that was really required was to mix two tunes together. Heads down and no phones, no pyrotechnics. The art form just progressed. My way of doing it is instead of having the tunes match together using their beat grids, what beat sync does do is if you have it enabled on all decks and you load a new tune onto the deck, it will load at 178. So if I show you here, whatever tune I put on here will be 178. And so if everything is 178, then I hit play, they match, I listen to the cue, and if it's slightly off time, I will adjust the jog wheel. The sync light will then flash to notify that you've used the jog wheel to move it out of sync. But by doing it that way, you're removing the laborious step of adjusting the tempo. So if you're adjusting the tempo to 178 every time, you can see the value, but to try and get that exactly on 178, well, you're just wasting time. And if you need to be busy doing other things, and especially in the genre that I play, there's constantly something to be doing. I don't need to be reading a BPM value and trying to spend my time moving this slider. I'd rather it just load on in that tempo, and then I can manually beat match to get it a bit more in time or get the grooves to match together a bit more seamlessly. So you can see there that the sync light is flashing, and that will happen on all of the decks once you do that. And you can also see that the master has now switched over to this deck. So it will do that if they're linked. It will keep swapping it over to whichever is the master deck. And that's how the Ethernet linked cables enable the decks to talk to each other and the mixer, which is really cool. It opens up a lot of features by having the decks linked. CDJ mode versus vinyl mode. I personally DJ on CDJ mode. That is the minority. So the majority of people will play on vinyl mode. Vinyl mode you just press jog mode and now it switches it to vinyl. If you're using a controller, there's probably a button that says vinyl. You press it, it lights up. You press it, it doesn't light up. Vinyl is obviously when it's lit up. And then your jog wheels will act as if you're playing vinyl. So if you physically imagine what vinyl is like, if you touch the top, it stops the record. If you move it back and forth, it scratches it. Or if you just touch the side, it will do a vinyl break and slow down. So if you picture what DJing with vinyl is like, if you press hard on the top, it stops the track. If you gently press on it, it will vinyl break. And if you move it back and forth, it will do scratching. So there's obviously a lot of effects that you can do there, but when you're doing beat matching, those are the things that you really don't want to be happening, especially if there's a tune mixing and matching in time, because you're going to move this out of time. And that's the reason why I personally DJ on CDJ mode, because that doesn't happen. I'm quite clumsy, and if I touch the top, which I have done before, it moves the tracks out of sync, and then it's a beat matching nightmare. It's chaos. I personally don't have it on vinyl mode, but there is a benefit with all of those effects, especially in drum and bass. Rewinds, reloads, spin backs, whatever you want to call it, are very, very popular. You would have it on vinyl mode and you'd set your jog adjust to light. The platter will move a lot more easily and you'll get more of that rewind feeling. I personally DJ on heavy and it doesn't spin back as much. You can see there's hardly any spin. So by spinning back on a lighter mode, you get more of that spin sensation. But I DJ on heavy and I DJ on CDJ mode, so there's quite a few steps involved in order to get it to that stage. On my complete DJ course, I do show you how to do rewinds and incorporate effects so that you can make it sound a lot more epic than just a dry rewind. Crossfader mixing versus channel fader mixing. So we've actually covered channel fader mixing, which was what we did before, where we brought a track in and then you take another track out. Crossfader mixing is the old school way. It's what mixers used to look like. They would be two channels and you'd have channel A and channel B, and you'd crossfade. You can set your curve so that you can have that more abruptly or more smoothly, depending on the position of the crossfader. But now on the modern mixers, you have multiple channels, and it really, in a way, doesn't make sense because you still have A and B. What you need is A, B, C, and D, but you don't have that. And so you'll see this through button on the bottom of the channel faders, and that actually means that it disables the channel faders from being affected by this crossfader. It's no matter where you position it, it won't have any effect on the audio coming out of your channels. If you send your channels, so A, B, B, now these two will come out on side A, and these two will come out on side B, which you can see there's an issue, because if you just want this one out, you'd have to bring this one down. And that's a bit tricky because you're now needing to remember to move this left and right and also only have one up. And it's just so much easier having it on through, because now you can visually see which tracks are up and which tracks are down. So let's just do it with A and B. So now this tune is on side A and this tune is on side B. When you have the crossfader over to the left on A, only this audio will play out. As you move it across here, this audio will come into the picture so long as the channel fader is up. If you have it in the middle, both tracks will play out equally in the mix. Let me know what techniques you think you will be using in the comments below. For me, it would be manual, CDJ, and channel faders. So sound is energy, and energy at different frequencies acts differently, and that's why we have EQ bands. We have different instruments that sit in the EQ bands, but also the amount of energy that exists in each of the bands is different. More energy in the bottom, less energy in the top. And the way that they interact with each other as more and more music is coming into the picture, it's crucial that you understand this so that whatever you're doing on this panel, you know why you're doing it and you're not doing it just because somebody told you that that's the way to do it. Low frequency. Let's focus on this. This is high energy. Imagine what is high energy in life. You've got huge ocean waves, lightning bolts in the sky. If you've got more and more and more and more of that, guess what you've got? You've got a mess. So you don't want to have a mess. And the way to reduce that is to turn the volume of that band down. Turn it to the right, you turn it up. Turn it to the left, you turn it down. And you want to be turning down your low frequency bands so that only one is in the picture. Therefore, you've not got walls of energy crashing into each other, going out of the sound system, creating this confused mess that's swallowing everything else in the picture. Let's do a mix using the channel faders with sync enabled, and we'll go through all of the same steps again, but this time we will turn down the low frequency band once we're ready to bring this audio into the picture. To take that mix forward, you would then need to swap over the lows so that you have the bass from your incoming tune coming into the picture. Obviously, I've only gone into the surface part of it in this video, but explaining why you would do that, I think, is really crucial because you're playing with sound. Sound is science, and it's never going to change how it operates. And so if you have effects, or if you have mid-band instruments or high-frequency instruments, you will know, depending on that frequency, how to manipulate them, what effects to add to them. If you want to level up as a DJ, know why you're doing something, not just how. There's obviously a lot more to learn about it, and that's why I built my courses. Check them out if you want to fast-track your way and save precious time. They are linked below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and whilst you're at it, smash the like. My name is Becky Saif, and I will see you for another video. Bye.